Welcome to English Speak Pulse, where fluency begins with you. I'm Danielle, and let me ask you something. Have you ever watched a movie or a podcast in English and thought, wait, what did that mean? Maybe you heard phrases like break the ice, hit the books, or spill the beans, and you had no idea what they were actually talking about.
And I'm Sarah. Oh yes. And that's the funny thing, right? Native speakers use idioms every single day. In offices, in friendships, even while texting. And if you don't know them, it feels like they're speaking a secret language.
Exactly. It's like English has two levels, the one you study from grammar books, and the real one native speakers actually live and breathe. Idioms are the secret bridge between the two.
And that's why today, we're unlocking that secret. You're about to learn 50 idioms that native speakers use every single day. The expressions that make their English sound colorful, confident, and alive.
And we won't just list them, we'll show you how they're used in real life, in real conversations, with natural examples you can start using right after this episode.
So next time someone says, don't spill the beans, or you're walking on thin ice, you won't be confused, you'll smile, because you'll know exactly what they mean.
So get ready, this episode will change how you listen, think, and speak in English.
Let's dive into part 1, where we explore the everyday idioms you hear all the time, but finally
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we've got a really clear mission. We're diving straight into your source material on some really essential everyday English idioms.
Yeah.
We're not really aiming for dictionary definitions here.
No, not at all.
It's more about finding those shortcuts, to understanding the rhythm and color of real English conversation.
Exactly. And look, what we're covering today, it isn't just vocabulary.
Right.
It's more like the linguistic DNA of natural speech. Our sources actually define this perfectly. They call idioms emotional English, not textbook English.
That phrase, emotional English, that's powerful, isn't it?
It is.
It suggests these little phrases carry a lot more feeling than just the literal words.
Absolutely. Think about a really common one we all use, long time no see.
Yeah.
You just translate that word for word. It's kind of weird, right? Disjointed.
True.
But when you hear it, it's not just saying it's been a while. It's packed with genuine, friendly surprise, warmth, happiness even.
Right. The feeling.
That feeling is baked right into the phrase. So understand the idiom means you get that emotional context instantly and makes your communication, just more alive, more expressive.
Okay, let's unpack this list then. Let's jump right into the situations where these phrases really prove their worth. We're starting with some foundational ones for social interaction. First up.
We start with a social essential, break the ice.
Okay, break the ice. This feels like more than just starting a chat, though.
It is.
It seems to tackle a specific problem. That awkward silence or, shyness when people first meet.
Precisely. It means starting a conversation in a friendly way, specifically to relieve that tension when people are feeling a bit shy or awkward. The image itself is great. You're literally shattering a frozen barrier between people. So the phrase kind of acknowledges that social anxiety and offers a way to deal with it proactively.
It's a good example of an idiom showing action, like it takes a little effort. The source had an example, someone named Daniel telling a joke at the start of a meeting to break the ice. It wasn't really about the joke itself, was it?
No, not really.
It was about the deliberate effort to help everyone relax and, engage.
That active comfort-seeking quality is key. Okay, now let's shift gears a bit. From socializing to seriousness with hit the books.
Okay, hit the books. I have to ask about the word hit here. To someone learning English, that sounds quite aggressive, maybe even violent.
Yeah, I can see that.
The sources say it means to start studying seriously. So why hit?
Well, what's interesting is that hit here implies focus, maybe urgency and commitment, not physical force.
Okay.
By using an action verb like hit, you're sort of showing you're moving from just thinking about it to actually doing it. Serious effort. Like you're hitting a target, your study goal.
Right.
It kind of elevates studying, which can feel a bit passive or dull sometimes, and makes it sound like a focused, important task.
That distinction, passive thinking versus active commitment, that seems crucial. You wouldn't use this if you were just casually looking over notes, right?
Exactly. You use it when you really need to buckle down.
The agency is built in. Like the example, I can't hang out tonight. I need to hit the books for my exam.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you the priority and the seriousness all in one go. Okay, next section. This seems to deal with lighter social things, like revealing information, maybe by accident. Let's talk about spill the beans.
Right, spill the beans. This basically means revealing a secret, often by mistake or without really planning to.
The image is quite playful, beans scattering everywhere.
Yeah, the playfulness comes from that visualization.
Yeah.
Beans are small, right? They scatter easily, and once they're spilled, well, they're hard to gather up neatly again.
It's just a bit of carelessness, doesn't it?
It can, yeah.
Like the person didn't mean to tell the secret, but maybe they were just too casual or clumsy with the information.
Exactly.
You hear it a lot with surprise parties, that kind of thing. Who spilled the beans about the surprise party? You're not just asking who told.
No.
You're asking who messed up the surprise by being careless.
Precisely. We could just say who told the secret, but using spill the beans adds a little drama, maybe a touch of blame for the accidental mess. That choice of imagery, the messy, can't take it back revelation, that's what makes everyday speech so lively.
Speaking of lively, let's look at something supposedly effortless. A piece of cake.
Ah, yes. A really delightful idiom. It just means something is very, very easy. A task or a challenge that was, well, no trouble at all.
But why a cake? Why not, I don't know, a glass of water or something simple like that?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I think the comparison to dessert is key. Cake is usually seen as indulgent, right? Something we eat for pleasure. It doesn't require work to consume.
Okay.
So it connects ease not just with simplicity, but maybe with a bit of pleasure or indulgence. When you say a tough task was a piece of cake, you're contrasting how hard it looked with how easily, almost enjoyably, you did it.
Right. It signals relaxed confidence.
Exactly.
It definitely makes the speaker sound more natural. Saying that English test was a piece of cake instantly tells you they found it super easy, no stress.
Mm-hmm. Concise and loaded with satisfaction. Okay, let's move to a phrase that's incredibly useful, especially in professional life. Under the weather.
Ah, yes. This means not feeling well, right? Sick or maybe just really tired.
Correct.
The source material really emphasized how practical this is, especially at work. It's like an idiom for social management.
That's a great way to put it.
Letting you excuse yourself without going into, well, graphic detail.
Exactly. That's the cultural code, really. It's polite, it's indirect. You're saying you're not quite right, but framing it vaguely like you're under the influence of bad weather.
It keeps things professional and friendly.
Right. You often hear it when someone needs a bit of flexibility. Feeling a bit under the weather today, so I think I'll work from home. It respects personal boundaries, but still communicates your status effectively.
Okay. Now, shifting from feeling unwell to things that happen very rarely, this brings us to once in a blue moon.
Mm-hmm. This idiom just means something happens very infrequently, very rarely.
We mentioned earlier how idioms often use strong visuals. And everyone knows the moon, the sky. The phrase uses the visual rarity of a blue moon, whether it's scientifically accurate or not, doesn't matter, to emphasize how seldom something occurs.
Exactly.
If I say, I eat junk food only once in a blue moon, the phrase adds a kind of weight that just saying hardly ever doesn't quite capture.
It does. It's the difference between just stating a fact and using a really descriptive visual comparison. It relies on that idea of, astronomical rarity to add a bit of punch.
Right.
And if something is even more impossible than a rare moon, then we get to our next phrase, when pigs fly.
Ah, yes. This means something will absolutely never happen. It's wonderfully playful sarcasm, isn't it? He used to show strong disbelief.
Totally. It's powerful because it's just so absurd. You're using this ridiculous image, a pig with wings, flying, to highlight how utterly impossible you think an idea is.
It's a fun way to inject some humor when you're skeptical.
Definitely.
I think we've all heard it used like, sure, I'll believe that when pigs fly. It instantly tells the listener, yeah, I heard you, but no way. And here's a funny picture to show you how impossible I think it is.
Okay, let's look at some idioms more centered around the practical side of work and maybe deadlines. We start with number 8, call it a day.
Meaning, basically, to stop working or finish what you're doing for now, usually because you feel like enough has been done.
Exactly. It's super practical, often quite collaborative. You hear it when a team needs to agree on a stopping point.
Right.
It brings a sense of collective finality to the work session for that day. It's efficient, helps avoid burnout,
Yeah, good point.
If you think bigger picture, it's just a professional judgment call. We've achieved enough for now.
You definitely hear managers use this to signal closure. Right, folks? We've been working since morning. Let's call it a day and pick this up fresh tomorrow. Good workflow management, really. Now, let's pivot to a less comfortable work situation, being in hot water.
Ooh, yes. In hot water. This means you're in serious trouble, or maybe facing a really difficult, uncomfortable situation, usually because of a mistake or poor judgment.
This feels like a great example of that emotional English. The literal meaning is irrelevant.
Completely.
The metaphor of hot water just screams difficulty, doesn't it? Like being scalded by consequences or feeling pressured and uncomfortable. It's much stronger, more visceral than just saying in trouble.
Absolutely. The feeling is one of being overwhelmed, maybe facing punishment or strong disapproval. If someone, say, forgot a major deadline or even their boss's birthday, they are definitely in hot water, dealing with that uncomfortable heat of, well, professional or social disapproval.
And when you see someone struggling like that, maybe in that hot water or just dealing with a tough project, the best thing you can offer is often our next phrase, hang in there.
Yes. This is pure encouragement. It expresses empathy, care, motivation. The image is like, gripping onto something tightly during a difficult time. It suggests that while things are tough right now, the person needs to hold on, persist, until the challenge passes.
It's incredibly comforting, I think, because it acknowledges the difficulty, but also projects hope, a positive outcome.
Yeah.
You're reinforcing their strength.
Right.
Just saying, I know this project is tough, but hang in there, you're almost done. That's simple, but it's packed with emotional support.
Okay, we actually need to circle back just for a moment, back to revealing secrets.
Oh.
Because your sources gave us two very similar idioms here, but with a subtle difference. It's a great lesson in nuance. We have spill the beans, which we covered,
Right.
versus let the cat out of the bag. Let's quickly look at that second one.
Let the cat out of the bag. It also means revealing a secret, usually by mistake, right? But the image is different. What's the deal with a cat in a bag?
Well, the common story, or the idea behind it, often refers to an old market trick. Apparently, sometimes dishonest sellers would try to swap a worthless cat for a valuable piglet inside a closed bag, or poke.
Ah, so the secret is what's really inside the bag.
Exactly. So when you let the cat out of the bag, you reveal the hidden thing, the deception, or maybe just the surprise prematurely. The focus is more on the escape of the secret, something that was meant to be contained or hidden.
Okay, so if someone let the cat out of the bag about a secret promotion or a new company plan, it means the info got out before it was supposed to.
That's the core idea. So think of the difference. Spill the beans often implies an accidental mess from carelessness.
Right, beans scattered everywhere.
Whereas let the cat out of the bag suggests the accidental escape or release of something hidden or surprise.
Subtle but different flavors.
Exactly. Both mean a secret's out, but the imagery gives a slightly different nuance to how it happened. Understanding that kind of visual difference, well, that's part of what makes someone sound really fluent.
So let's pull this all together for the listener. A quick recap of these 11 foundational idioms we've just unpacked, focusing on what they do.
Okay, sounds good. We built up a really useful toolkit here. Break the ice for getting conversation started, hit the books for serious effort, spill the beans, and let the cat out of the bag for revealing secrets with slight differences.
Right.
A piece of cake for showing something's easy, under the weather for polite excuses, once in a blue moon for rarity, and when pigs fly for impossibility.
And the work stress ones.
And then call it a day for finishing up, in hot water for being in trouble, and hang in there for encouragement.
That's 11 really solid ways to tap into that emotional English we talked about at the start.
Absolutely.
And the takeaway really seems to be that using just a few of these naturally in the right spot can instantly make you sound more fluent, more expressive.
It really can.
Yeah.
Because you're using the language's own built-in color and rhythm.
It's like you said earlier, idioms are kind of like seasoning in cooking, aren't they?
That's a great analogy.
They don't usually change the core meaning, the main ingredient, but they make everything taste, well, better, more culturally authentic. The trick, I guess, is using them quickly and confidently in the right context.
Exactly. And that leads to a challenge for you, the listener.
Okay.
Try to pick just 2 idioms from this list. Maybe tell a colleague, hang in there if you're having a tough day. Or perhaps use, let's call it a day, when you wrap up work tonight,
Mm-hmm.
just try integrating them into your conversations, emails, whatever, this week. Actually using them is where the fluency really starts to stick.
That's great advice. And as you start getting comfortable with these general everyday idioms, well, we're going to raise the stakes a bit next time. We'll be building on this foundation, diving into business English idioms, those specific phrases every professional really needs to know to sound natural and proficient, especially when the stakes are high in meetings, negotiations, that kind of thing.
Looking forward to that one. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're taking a look, maybe a necessary shortcut, into the language of corporate fluency.
Essential business English idioms.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
If you're aiming for that real confidence at work, the kind that makes your emails better, sharpens presentations, makes you sound like you belong in meetings.
Then these phrases aren't just vocabulary, they're more like strategic tools.
Okay, so what's the mission here for our listeners?
Well, we're moving past just definitions today. Business English, it needs a level of sophistication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Native speakers use these idioms all the time, not just to talk, but to set a tone, to be persuasive, efficient, friendly, sometimes all at once.
So understanding when and why you use them is key.
That's it. It's what helps you fit right into any professional setting almost instantly. We're basically giving you the blueprint for sounding both natural and strategic. All right, let's dive in. Part 1. We're looking at idioms for kicking things off, asking for innovation, and dealing with setbacks gracefully. Good place to start. First up, the need for fresh ideas. We hear this one constantly. Think outside the box. Oh, yeah, and the basic meaning is simple. Be creative, original. But the interesting part is how it's used strategically.
How so?
Well, look, it has become a bit of a cliche in some places, maybe.
You sure you hear it a lot.
But it's still a really effective, quite polite way to signal to your team, hey, don't just repeat last year's plan. We need something fundamentally different.
Right. And it lands better if you frame it with a challenge, doesn't it? Like, our competitors are gaining. We really need to think outside the box here.
Exactly. It shows urgency. It sets an expectation for high-level thinking. You could even impress your boss by framing a problem like that and then actually proposing something novel.
Okay, so you got the innovative idea. Now you need to get things moving.
Momentum. Which brings us to get the ball rolling. Simple meaning again. Just start something, a project, a meeting, whatever. But the power isn't really in the definition, is it? It's the tone.
Yeah. Sounds proactive, shows initiative, drive. Saying, let's start the website design is okay, but...
A bit passive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's get the ball rolling on the website design. That sounds like you're ready to act now. You're an initiator.
That positive forward energy is vital. But let's be real, especially if you are thinking outside the box.
Things don't always work out first try.
Exactly. So you need a professional way to say, oops, that didn't work without, freaking out.
Back to the drawing board.
Perfect. It acknowledges the first attempt failed and you need to restart or at least seriously revise the plan.
Like our initial marketing campaign bombed, so we're back to the drawing board.
Right. And in business, using that phrase is great because it sounds calm, analytical, not emotional or complaining. It shows resilience, a professional readiness to try again.
That makes sense. It shows you're not defeated, just regrouping, which is a nice bridge, actually.
Yeah.
Because once you have that revised plan and you've done your part, you need to hand it off politely.
Delegation time.
Time for the ball is in your court. Such a common one. The meaning is clear. It's someone else's turn to act. But strategically, it's about shifting responsibility and the timeline. It's a clean way to say, okay, my part's done. Now it's on you.
Right. This is off my plate. Project's waiting for your input.
Yeah.
It keeps things moving smoothly, avoids direct confrontation.
It's more than polite. It's a tool. You finish your report, send it for legal review, and you sign off with, my analysis is complete. The ball is now in your court. Establishes those next steps clearly. Accountability. Okay, so we've initiated things. Let's shift gears into ongoing work. Part 2, communication, alignment, connection. The idioms for teamwork and efficiency. And we absolutely have to start with maybe the most overused but essential phrase in corporate life.
Has to be touch base.
Yep, touch base.
It just means making brief contact, right? Usually for a quick progress check or an update.
But there's a nuance here, isn't there? Some people feel it's dated.
Yeah, you hear that. People might prefer sync up or something newer. But honestly, touch base still works because it implies a really low commitment.
Ah, okay. Like it's not a big deal.
Exactly. It suggests a quick informal check-in, friendly, professional, but definitely not scheduling a full hour-long meeting. That's the key.
Super useful for client relationships then. Let's touch base early next week on the report draft. Non-aggressive, keeps the connection going.
Precisely. And speaking of connection and making sure everyone's aligned, after you touch base, you need to confirm understanding. Which brings us to the phrase that honestly prevents so much confusion: on the same page. Meaning is straightforward, everyone agrees, everyone understands the same thing, but think about its strategic use. It's basically a risk mitigation tool.
How do you mean?
Well, before any high-stakes situation like a big client presentation or a major decision, you use this idiom actively to confirm alignment. You don't assume.
So you'd literally ask, okay team, before we brief the CEO, are we all on the same page about the sales figures?
Exactly. It ensures nobody goes rogue or contradicts the main message, essential for presenting a united front.
That unity is so important, especially when things get tough, which leads to another phrase for solidarity.
In the same boat.
Right, being in the same difficult situation as someone else.
And its power really shines when used by a leader during tough times. Think layoffs, budget cuts, or maybe everyone's struggling with new software.
So it's an empathy tool.
Absolutely. If the whole company is wrestling with a new system, a manager saying, look, this is steep for everyone, me included, we're all in the same boat, let's help each other, that builds huge morale.
It validates the struggle, makes people feel connected, not isolated.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move from connection under pressure to the language of actual performance. Part 3, quality, strategy, and effort. Right? The idiom's about standards and dedication, starting with the high-level view, the big picture.
This one's all about the overall goal, the most important idea, not getting lost in tiny details. It's classic senior management language, isn't it?
Definitely. You see managers use it to pull teams out of the weeds.
Yeah, when everyone's arguing about, I don't know, font sizes on slide 3.
Happens all the time.
Someone needs to step in and say, hold on, let's focus on the big picture here. Are we actually achieving our strategic goal? It forces that shift back to what really matters.
But sometimes the details are what matters, especially in certain fields.
True, which is when you need to know if work is being done by the book.
Meaning following the rules strictly.
And the nuance here is critical. It totally depends on the context. If you're in finance, compliance, law, doing things by the book is absolutely essential. It's a complement.
You tell an auditor, we handle expenses strictly by the book.
Exactly, but if you're in a creative field, like advertising or product development,
then being told not to be too by the book in the advice.
Right. It means you're expected to break the rules, be disruptive, innovate. So the same phrase flips from positive to negative depending on whether compliance or creativity is the priority. You have to know your audience.
That's a really important distinction. Okay, so the opposite of doing things by the book carefully
is when people cut corners.
Doing something fast and cheap, usually by sacrificing quality or skipping steps.
Almost always negative, right? Implies a lack of integrity.
Almost always. But, like you pointed out earlier, you can use it assertively to show your standards are high.
How so?
By stating what you won't compromise on, saying something like, look, we cannot afford to cut corners on safety procedures, instantly shows you're responsible, you understand risk.
Right. It frames you as the one upholding quality. Okay, so if you don't cut corners, you might actually
go the extra mile,
putting in that additional effort for truly exceptional results.
And this is such a powerful, motivating phrase, using it to praise someone. High value. Sarah really went the extra mile, customizing that presentation for the client. It validates their hard work, makes them feel seen and appreciated, encourages more of it.
Definitely. And speaking of work that might not always be seen,
the effort that happens behind the scenes.
Yeah, all that crucial background work, planning, logistics, prep, the stuff that makes the final product look seamless but isn't visible to the client or public.
I like this one because it lets you give credit gracefully. After a perfect event, you can say, the whole thing ran like clockwork, thanks to all the hard work behind the scenes from the ops team. It acknowledges that hidden effort, which is great for team morale. Okay, final section. Part 4. Handling uncertainty and pressure, right? The language for when things aren't clear or decisions are tough. First one is essential for managing expectations. up in the air.
Meaning something is uncertain, not decided yet, and it's just a really helpful, polite, professional way to say, I don't know yet.
Instead of sounding clueless or disorganized.
Exactly. You say, our expansion plans are still a bit up in the air pending final budget approval. It manages expectations without committing prematurely. Sounds professional.
Okay, but when those undecided moments happen or things change suddenly, you need the ability to react quickly.
You need to think on your feet.
Making fast, effective decisions without much warning.
It's a core leadership skill, isn't it? Agility under pressure.
The classic example is the Q&A after a big presentation, right? A client throws a total curveball question.
Yeah, something not in the script at all.
Your ability to pause, stay calm, and give a considered, credible response right there and then that's thinking on your feet. It really defines your competence in that moment.
Absolutely. Now, sometimes those quick decisions, or even planned ones, involve difficult choices. Painful ones.
That's when leaders have to bite the bullet.
Meaning to face a tough, unpleasant situation with courage. It has that stoic military background feel, conveys strength.
Every business faces these moments, right? Raising prices, discontinuing a product.
Tough calls. And announcing it by saying, we delayed this, but ultimately we had to bite the bullet and implement the change, frames it as a necessary, brave move, not weakness.
Okay. And on the flip side, when someone does figure out the core of a difficult problem.
They hit the nail on the head.
Meaning they describe exactly what's causing the issue. It's about precision.
And using it shows immediate strong agreement. It's a way of saying, yes, that's exactly it. Shows respect for their insight.
So if a project's struggling and someone points out the real issue is poor communication, not the tech.
You say, yes, you absolutely hit the nail on the head there. We need a better comms strategy. It validates their crucial insight.
Perfect. Okay, last one. We're bringing it back to the beginning of someone's journey in a way.
Learn the ropes.
Understanding how things work, especially when you're new. New job, new company.
And it's such a friendly, normalizing phrase, isn't it? Great for managing expectations with new hires.
Yeah, telling someone, hey, don't worry, it took me weeks just to learn the ropes of our reporting system, makes them feel less pressure.
Sets a realistic timeline, reduces that newbie anxiety. Okay, great stuff.
So wrapping this deep dive up,
Yeah.
what's the big takeaway? We've gone from thinking outside the box to learning the ropes. Using these 17 idioms, it really shifts your communication, doesn't it?
It does. It takes you from maybe sounding a bit literal, like you're translating in your head, to sounding genuinely fluent and professional. They're shortcuts to conveying complex ideas about teamwork, strategy, risk.
And doing it with ease.
Yeah, they're not just vocabulary you memorize. They're tools, instruments of persuasion, really. Using them helps you sound natural, persuasive, and like you belong in those professional settings.
It signals you understand the culture, not just the words.
Exactly. It shows you get it.
Okay, so speaking of belonging and getting started,
Oh,
we ended on learn the ropes.
right.
That initial phase of understanding a new environment.
Getting that foundation.
But it makes me wonder, once you've learned the ropes, once you have that competence, what does the next step, actually taking the lead, look like in terms of language? What are the idioms that signal true seniority, real decision-making authority?
That's a great question. Moving from understanding the system to actually shaping it.
Yeah. What's that next level of fluency sound like? Something for you to mull over until our next deep dive.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into your source material on the language of success. Our mission really isn't just about listing idioms. It's about understanding how great communicators, managers, mentors, entrepreneurs use these phrases strategically, how they use them to influence, inspire, and project, total confidence.
Yeah, it's almost like a shortcut to credibility, isn't it?
Yeah.
Leadership isn't just making decisions. It's about how you frame them. And what we found in these sources is that the specific language, the really vivid stuff you choose, it acts like verbal shorthand. Shorthand for big ideas about effort, about vision. You're not just using words, you're transmitting the culture.
That's exactly it. That's the key. We're trying to go beyond just the dictionary definitions here. We want to explore the psychology, why certain phrases actually motivate people and others just fall flat. So to give this deep dive some structure, we've kind of organized these influence idioms into 4 main groups: action, strategy, control, and ambition.
Right. Let's kick things off with that first one. Action. This is all about the active leader. The one who leads by doing. And the language they use, it prioritizes showing over just telling.
Okay, so the big one here, maybe the most famous, is lead by example. It's so simple, it almost sounds like a cliche. Does it still pack a punch?
Oh, absolutely. It definitely does. But its strategic power, I think, has shifted a bit. It's not just about showing you how to do the job anymore. It's more about establishing authenticity. In a time where trust is just so critical, a leader who genuinely leads by example signals something important. They're saying, look, I'm not asking you to do anything I haven't done or wouldn't do myself. It's about building that sweat equity with the team.
So it legitimizes their authority through actually doing it with them.
Exactly. Through shared experience, not just because of their job title.
Right. So it's really about setting the culture. And once you've got that foundation, that authenticity, what's next? Elevating things. How do you push performance standards using language? The sources seem to point pretty clearly to raise the bar.
Yeah, raise the bar. That phrase is just a fantastic tool for continuous improvement. The real power there is that you're setting a new internal standard. You're not just saying, hey, hit your goal.
Yeah.
You're saying, okay, we achieved X. Great. Now X is the new minimum. It defines success dynamically. But leaders do need to be a bit careful how they deploy it.
Carefully. How so? If you're constantly raising the bar, doesn't it risk becoming, demotivating after a while?
It can, yeah, if it lacks context. If you use it too often, or maybe without giving the team the resources they need, or without celebrating that last achievement, then it just feels punitive. The really effective leader uses raise the bar when they see the team has genuinely unlocked a new capability, when they know they're ready for that next step.
Yeah.
That way it signals growth potential, not just, more work piling on.
I see. That makes sense. And that leads us nicely into the language of sort of immediate drive. If a new project kicks off, you want everyone to hit the ground running. What's that phrase communicating beyond just, energy?
Well, it creates this cognitive urgency. It kind of minimizes the perception that there's going to be a long ramp-up time. When a leader uses that phrase, they're essentially saying, look, the prep phase, that's done. We are moving straight into execution now. It just eliminates any ambiguity about the pace required. And it's great for new teams, maybe, who need that defined rhythm right from the start.
Okay. And as the team is executing, we get into the language around exceptional effort. And we've got two phrases here that sound similar but seem critically nuanced: go above and beyond and bend over backwards.
Ah, yes. This is where we really need to get into the sort of emotional intelligence of language. Go above and beyond. It's pretty much universally seen as a compliment, right? It means exceeding expectations, doing more than asked. And in a professional setting, that's highly valued. It signals recognition of great work.
But that second one, bend over backwards, even though it also describes dedication, it often seems to carry this shadow, of self-sacrifice or strain.
Exactly. That's the nuance. Look, if you tell your client, we're bending over backwards to meet this deadline, okay, you're showing extreme commitment. But if a manager describes themselves, or maybe one of their team members, as always bending over backwards, it often subtly suggests something else. It might imply overextension, maybe poor planning, or even just undue stress. It captures dedication, sure, but often with a hint that it required more effort than was really sustainable or reasonable.
So if you hear a colleague say they bent over backwards, you should maybe read between the lines a bit, that they might be feeling stressed or even taken advantage of.
Potentially, yes. Even if their intention was just to signal how dedicated they were. That's a huge takeaway for listeners trying to really understand people. Understanding that feeling behind the idiom, that sort of subtext of potential burnout, that's vital if you want true influence.
Wow, okay. That sets us up perfectly for our next section then. If action is the engine driving things day to day, then strategy is the compass. Let's move to the language of the strategic leader. Vision, planning, looking ahead. You can't have great action without, a game plan.
Right. And when a leader says, okay, we need a game plan, or here's the game plan, they're doing something more impactful than just saying, we need a plan. The phrase itself, it signals readiness, structure, and really importantly, coordinated team effort. It kind of evokes that collaborative energy you see in sports. It suggests roles are clear, the approach is understood.
And strategy isn't just about the immediate steps, is it? It's about anticipating what's coming down the line. Smart leaders try to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, being ahead of the curve is purely about anticipation. It shows vision. It means you're forecasting trends, maybe making smart investments before they're obviously needed, or pivoting before your competitors even see the need to change. It's proactive. It's about positioning yourself where the market's going to be, not just where it is right now.
But what if you're not just anticipating? What if you're fundamentally changing the rules of the game? That's different, right? That's when you break new ground.
That's the key distinction, yes. Ahead of the curve is better forecasting, maybe smarter adaptation. Breaking new ground implies radical innovation, doing something literally never done before, whether that's, a revolutionary product or a completely unique way of managing a team. It carries this huge positive weight because it signals true invention, real novelty.
Makes sense. But the bigger the innovation, often the bigger the risk. Strategic leaders also have to be good at managing that risk, which brings us to that timeless advice: don't put all your eggs in one basket.
And in a leadership context, it's much more than just investment advice, isn't it? It really means avoiding single points of failure. Are you too reliant on one huge client? Or maybe one specific skill set in your team?
No.
Or one piece of tech? Smart leaders use this phrase not just for finance, but for talent management, client relationships, reminding everyone that focus, it has to be balanced with resilience, with redundancy.
Yeah, that tension between focusing hard and diversifying seems constant. So how does a leader cut through the noise when the team might be spread thin across different initiatives? You have to tell them to keep your eye on the ball.
Exactly. That phrase is such a powerful realignment tool. When challenges pop up, or there are delays or just minor distractions that threaten to derail the big projects, the leader uses this phrase. It refocuses energy instantly on the main goal, the non-negotiable objective. It's a really effective way to communicate, hey, stay focused, without micromanaging. It tells the team, persist, don't lose sight of the critical path.
Okay, so the strategy's locked in, the action's underway. Now the leader needs to really command the situation. Which brings us to our third theme, the decisive leader. This is about control, confronting problems, and getting clear outcomes. When a big problem lands right on your desk, you have to take the bull by the horns.
Oh yeah, the imagery there is just unmistakable, isn't it? Strength, immediate confrontation. It signifies that bravery you need to deal with something difficult or painful directly, head on, not procrastinating or, hoping it just goes away. Think about a manager who sees sales dropping and immediately restructures the team. It might be tough, but they address it instead of letting it linger for months. It shows control. It shows immediate ownership of the crisis.
And when they take that decisive action, ideally, the outcome benefits everyone involved. The gold standard is achieving a win-win situation.
Using that phrase win-win, it really shows significant emotional intelligence, I think. It signals that your focus is on sustainable mutual success, not just grabbing what you can get. When a leader aims for a win-win, they're trying to build consensus, maybe de-escalate tension, and ensure a long-term partnership, not just a short-term gain. It's key for building relationships.
And the person who consistently delivers those kinds of outcomes, who takes that necessary action, they're often the one who gets to call the shots.
Right. Now, that's the language of positional authority. To call the shots means you are definitively in control. You're making the major top-level decisions within the structure, the hierarchy. It's typically used to describe the CEO, maybe the lead engineer on project, the person with the final say.
But influence isn't just about your position on the org chart, is it? If you want to convey confidence and agency over your own path, your personal trajectory, you might say you're in the driver's seat.
Exactly. That phrase is much more about ownership and agency. It projects confidence that you are the one steering the direction, whether it's a project or your own career, regardless of what's happening externally. And a leader can use this strategically too, telling a team member, look, you're in the driver's seat on this. That's incredibly empowering. You're transferring not just the task, but the control, the confidence.
Yeah, that idea of empowerment, of forward movement, it perfectly sets up our final pillar, the inspirational leader. This language is all about ambition and growth. And the classic phrase for career trajectory is simple: climb the ladder.
Right, climb the ladder. It's the textbook phrase for moving up in your career. But we also have to acknowledge, I think, that modern careers, they aren't always a straight ladder anymore, are they? They're more like a jungle gym sometimes.
That's a good point. So how does an influential leader use that phrase today without sounding maybe a bit archaic or out of touch?
Well, they might use it to establish a baseline understanding, especially for new talent, explaining hierarchy, explaining progression. But then they couple it with phrases about developing skills, about making lateral moves, broadening experience. It's still effective for explaining structure,
Yeah.
You emphasize that you're supporting them to climb, maybe through defined milestones, even if those milestones involve pivots or sideways moves.
Okay, that makes sense. And finally, when you're talking about that potential, that trajectory, maybe you're motivating a mentee or a new team member, you remind them that the sky's the limit.
Ah, yes. This one is probably the most purely empowering idiom we've talked about today. Its strategic use is really to inspire expansive thinking without constraints. You use it to launch an idea or a career or a new venture. You're communicating that success is really only limited by imagination and effort. It's not just, a nice platitude. It's a tool to mentally remove those boundaries, to elevate a normal conversation into a real moment of inspiration.
Wow. So this deep dive has really shown us, I think, that leadership language isn't just describing things, it's actually prescribing action and mindset. By moving past just the simple definitions and really understanding the context, the strategic use, the emotional weight of these idioms, you're signaling to everyone around you that you're a calm, clear, and genuinely influential communicator.
Absolutely. And remembering the nuance is key, isn't it? We saw how the power of raise the bar is an improvement, but that power vanishes if it just leads to burnout. And similarly, the ambition needed to climb the ladder, well, it has to be grounded in some kind of reality, some achievable steps.
Right. So to leave you, our listener, with a final thought to kind of chew on, consider that dual nature of influence. We've talked about phrases demanding immediate, decisive action like take the bull by the horns, and others that inspire almost unrestrained growth. The sky's the limit. So how can a truly influential leader bring those seemingly conflicting demands together? How do you use the language of fierce drive and control to inspire massive ambition in your team while also making sure they maintain balance and resilience? Keeping in mind that advice, don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's the constant balancing act, isn't it? The tightrope walk of effective leadership communication.
Welcome to the deep dive. For most of our deep dives, we tend to focus on language for, achievement.
Right. The power moves, strategy, how to get ahead in business.
Exactly. How to negotiate a win.
Yeah.
But today, we're doing something a little different, making a crucial pivot, actually. Because maybe the most complex English isn't in contracts, it's in connection.
Human connection, yes.
We are diving into the language of empathy, emotional fluency. Our sources really highlight that if you want to sound truly fluent, genuinely fluent, you need to master building real relationships.
That's such a critical insight, isn't it? I mean, grammatical perfection might get you the interview, maybe even the job.
Sure.
But it's that emotional fluency, that ability to connect that keeps the job, builds friendships, makes you, relatable.
So we're looking at moving past just textbook phrases for happy or sad.
Exactly. The goal is mastering those common, really powerful idioms that let you express complex feelings naturally, not like you're reading from a script.
Okay, so our mission today, mastering the nuanced human language of connection. We've got, 17 idioms lined up?
That's right. And we need to unpack them, not just what they mean, but why we use them, the situations they fit.
Right. Let's start at the very beginning then, the foundation. Initial connection. Because that first step, it's often the trickiest, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. And the sources point this out. The biggest hurdle in any new group, any introduction, it's usually tension, awkwardness.
Yeah, that silence.
Exactly. So if you need to diffuse that, make people feel comfortable quickly, what's the go-to phrase, the most native way to handle it?
You need to figure out how to break the ice.
Bingo. Break the ice.
It describes doing or saying something specific, targeted, really, to make people feel more relaxed in a new situation. Maybe you, tell a relevant, funny story or ask an easy question to get people talking.
Precisely. And think about that image. You're literally chipping away at that cold, hard surface of unfamiliarity.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's such an essential social skill. It just shifts the whole atmosphere from stiff and formal to, friendly. If you're leading a new team meeting or you walk into a conference reception, knowing how to break the ice, that's your first connection tool.
A language-based power move for connection. I like that. Okay, so imagine you break the ice, it works, the tension eases, and then something even better happens. You start talking to someone and you don't just feel comfortable, you actually, click.
Yes, that's when you hit it off.
Did it off.
It means you immediately get along with someone, sometimes really well, right from the first meeting. It's that instant chemistry.
It's interesting how hit it off sounds a bit like, luck. Like it just happened.
Yeah, it has that feel, not forced.
Right. If you've ever started working with someone new and suddenly you're finishing each other's sentences on day one.
Oh, yeah.
You've definitely hit it off. It feels like the highest compliment you can pay to a new friendship, maybe even a budding romance. It just works.
And if hitting it off is the ideal start, well, keeping relationships going requires something else. You need to manage friction because people won't always agree, right?
Definitely not.
So mature communication needs a way to talk about agreement, or maybe even more importantly, disagreement, but politely, without causing offense.
Okay, that brings us nicely to see eye to eye, which, yeah, it means to agree with someone. But here's the interesting thing, the nuance. You almost always hear it used in the negative.
Exactly.
Like, we don't always see eye to eye on this project, but we respect each other's perspectives.
That negative use is so key for showing emotional maturity. It says, okay, we have differences, I see them, I acknowledge them, and that's all right.
It allows for disagreement without hostility.
Precisely. It's incredibly useful in teams, any long-term relationship, really. It demonstrates that balance, you can have different views, but mutual respect holds things together. Using this phrase, especially maybe cross-culturally, signals you're willing to navigate those differences. That builds huge trust.
Okay, so we've covered breaking the ice, hitting it off, seeing eye to eye, the mechanics of starting and maintaining connections. Now let's shift gears. Let's talk about when connection thrives. We need language for real joy, for affection, and also for letting go of stress, decompression.
Yes, the positive emotions, but with more intensity, more color than just saying, I'm happy.
Right, I am very happy.
Yeah.
This sounds a bit flat, doesn't it?
It does. It lacks the oomph, the vividness native speakers naturally go for.
Which is why we might say someone is on cloud nine.
Ah, a classic.
Definition, just extremely happy.
Yeah.
Over the moon. If someone gets their absolute dream job or maybe their first book published, they are on cloud nine.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It paints that picture so happy you're literally floating up there.
Yeah.
Now, a quick point of nuance here. While it shows intensity, it's generally for significant joy, big life events. You probably wouldn't say you're on cloud nine just because you found a good parking spot.
Probably not. You might sound a bit much.
Little over dramatic, maybe. Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so if on cloud nine is peak joy, what about expressing a quieter, more sustained affection, something gentler?
That sounds like having a soft spot for someone or something.
Have a soft spot for...
Yeah, it means you have this lasting, warm feeling, a fondness for a person, maybe a pet, even a type of food.
Right. I think everyone has a soft spot for puppies, maybe. Or I definitely have a soft spot for my old university town.
Exactly. It's a very kind, warm idiom. It implies this enduring attachment, but maybe not the fiery passion of intense love. It's more gentle, friendly fondness.
Okay. And sometimes that fondness, that attachment maybe to your work or your team, it means you care a lot, which can lead to stress.
The flip side.
So how do we balance that passion, that professionalism, with the need to just relax? We need a way to signal it's okay to switch off.
And that's where you let your hair down.
Let your hair down. I like that one.
It means relax, be yourself, stop being so formal or working so hard, at least for a bit. You know, after the huge project finally shipped, the team went out for dinner to just let their hair down.
That signals a real shift, doesn't it? From high-stakes pressure to just being human together.
It's a really crucial idiom for you, the listener, I think, because using it shows you get the human side of things, even in professional contexts. That people need to breathe, have fun. It shows you understand workplace rhythm and balance, adds personality.
Okay, we've done joy, affection, relaxation. But emotional fluency isn't just the good stuff. It's about handling the difficult bits, too. Sadness, stress, conflict. How do we talk about these things with care, with maturity?
Well, first, we need to recognize that real connection means showing up when things are tough. And maybe the highest form of empathy, captured in an idiom, is offering a shoulder to cry on.
That's a powerful one.
It describes someone who listens, who supports you when you're sad or struggling, but crucially, often without trying to fix it for you.
Right. It implies presence, emotional availability. You know, after her breakup, her friend didn't give advice. She just offered a shoulder to cry on. It really highlights that sometimes just being there is the most fluent emotional response you can give.
Exactly. Now, sometimes you're the one feeling down. We need ways to describe sadness that are maybe less intense or clinical than saying, I'm depressed.
Okay.
So someone might say they're feeling a bit down in the dumps.
Down in the dumps? Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
It means feeling sad, maybe a bit low energy or mildly depressed.
Precisely. And it's quite casual. Using it signals you're feeling sad, maybe because of something specific like moving away or losing a game, but not necessarily signaling a major clinical issue. It's emotionally a bit lighter.
Got it. And related, but different. Under the weather.
Ah, yes. Very common.
Right. This one means feeling slightly sick or unwell. Physically unwell, usually. It's often used as a really polite, slightly vague way to excuse yourself. Sorry, I can't make the meeting. I'm feeling a bit under the weather today.
Perfect for work emails.
Totally.
Yeah.
It gets the message across, I'm not feeling great without needing any graphic details.
Professional and understood. Okay, so moving from general sadness or feeling unwell, let's talk about managing heat. Stress, anger. When the pressure cooker is on, we need composure. How do you tell someone or remind yourself to stay calm in a crisis?
You tell them to keep your cool.
Keep your cool, essential.
Like even when the main presentation file corrupted just before the meeting, she kept her cool and switched to the backup.
Keeping your cool is just a cornerstone of emotional intelligence, isn't it? People who can do this are often seen as better leaders, better negotiators.
Because they project stability.
Exactly. Stability when everything else feels chaotic. You hear this advice in boardrooms, on sports fields, during family arguments. It's everywhere.
But let's be real, sometimes you can't just keep your cool indefinitely. That pressure builds up. You need a healthy way to release it.
Which brings us to the constructive opposite. Blow off steam.
Blow off steam.
It means releasing that pent-up stress or anger, usually by doing something active or relaxing. Think of that pressure cooker image again. You have to let the steam out safely before it explodes. So after a really intense week, going for a long run or hitting the gym to blow off steam is seen as a totally normal, healthy coping strategy.
Okay. And finally, within conflict itself, maybe the fight has happened, things were said. Now what? We need idioms for reconciliation, for moving forward.
And the big one for forgiveness, for making peace, is to bury the hatchet.
Bury the hatchet. That sounds very definitive.
It is. It carries weight. It signals a real agreement to forgive and move past the conflict, not just sweep it under the rug temporarily. It's emotional intelligence in action, choosing reconciliation.
Okay, and what about when something's gone wrong, maybe a mistake was made, a deal was lost, and it just can't be fixed?
The pragmatic voice of English steps in here. There's no use crying over spilled milk.
Cry over spilled milk, yeah. You can't unspill it.
Exactly. It's a lesson in practicality. It teaches the wisdom of focusing your energy on what's next, on solutions, rather than wasting time and emotion on regrets about things that are already done and dusted. Using this idiom signals you're forward-looking, resilient.
That's a really valuable signal to send, especially in a professional context. Okay, let's turn inward now for the last section. We need idioms for those internal emotional shifts. Things like sudden nerves, changing your mind completely, or even how we talk about emotional openness.
Right, those internal landscapes. And maybe the most common internal shift is nerves, especially before some kind of performance.
Oh yeah, public speaking.
Or a first date. And the idiom is wonderfully visual, almost physical. Butterflies in your stomach?
Butterflies in your stomach.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that feeling. It means feeling nervous or maybe excitedly anxious, that fluttery feeling.
What's interesting is it works for both positive excitement and genuine fear or anxiety.
True, like before a job interview versus before riding a roller coaster.
Exactly. And it reminds us that feeling, that churning sensation, is just a normal human response to high-stakes moments. Even really confident people get butterflies.
Good point. Okay, what if the internal shift isn't nerves, but a fundamental change in opinion or feeling about something important?
Then we say someone has had a change of heart.
A change of heart.
This usually implies a significant shift, often a moral one, or a big decision being reversed. Like, he was planning to move abroad, but after spending time with his family, he had a change of heart.
It feels quite natural, doesn't it? Describes that internal turnaround without sounding too abrupt. But sometimes, emotions aren't just internal shifts, they spill over. Someone might be visibly upset, crying, panicking.
Right. What do you say then?
Well, one option, though you need to be careful with it, is to tell them to pull yourself together.
Yes. Pull yourself together.
It means calm down, regain control, stop being so outwardly emotional.
Now, this one comes with a warning label, I think.
Definitely. It's quite strong, isn't it? It can sound a bit harsh or dismissive of their feelings.
Exactly. You probably wouldn't say this to a colleague unless the situation was really urgent or maybe dangerous. It's more for perhaps a close friend in a specific moment, or even something you tell yourself internally. Use with caution.
Absolutely. Good warning. Okay, last one. Let's talk about ultimate emotional honesty. How do we describe someone who puts it all out there? Their feelings are completely transparent.
That person wears their heart on their sleeve.
Wear your heart on your sleeve. So everyone knows immediately if they're happy, sad, angry.
Yep, their emotions are visible right on the surface, like they're stitched onto their clothing.
Doesn't that make someone seem vulnerable? Maybe even a bit unprofessional in some settings. I mean, some cultures really value emotional control, right?
Right.
Reservation.
That's a really fair point, and it does touch on cultural nuances. Historically, maybe in some contexts, it was seen as reckless or weak. But the sources we looked at suggest that today, particularly in many Western cultures or American corporate culture, wearing your heart on your sleeve is often interpreted differently. It can be seen as a sign of authenticity, of trustworthiness, especially in roles needing genuine connection, creative fields, leadership.
So it's seen as being real.
Kind of. It suggests you're not hiding anything. It reminds us that showing emotion isn't necessarily weakness, it's just part of being fully human.
Wow. Okay, this has been a really fascinating journey, I think. We've unpacked 17 idioms that really do shift English from just a technical skill into something vibrant, human, full of life and feeling. Mastering these isn't just about boosting your vocabulary list. It genuinely improves your ability to connect with people emotionally.
Absolutely. And the synthesis here, the big takeaway from this deep dive, is that true emotional maturity, especially maybe in a second language, it's revealed not just by what words you know, but how you use these fluent, nuanced tools. You now have the vocabulary to navigate that initial awkwardness, express real joy, and handle conflict with more grace.
We've definitely explored how these idioms help define relationships and boundaries, from knowing when you need to blow off steam personally, to understanding when it's time for two parties to bury the hatchet. So let's leave our listeners with a provocative thought to carry forward. We've talked about idioms for happiness, sadness, anger, reconciliation, a whole range. But how do you use English to express profound, maybe unresolvable vulnerability?
That's deep.
That feeling when you're truly exposed, really struggling, and there isn't a neat pre-packaged idiom to capture it perfectly. Think about how you'd have to build that language yourself, using the tools you have, maybe combining ideas, and where the limits of idiomatic fluency might lie.
Exploring the edges, I like it.
Exactly. Explore those edges. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Welcome back to the deep dive. If time is, maybe the most valuable thing you have in your professional life, then today, we've got something for you.
Yeah, think of it as a cheat sheet for mastering the language of time.
Exactly. We're diving deep into some really powerful English idioms, specifically about time and productivity.
That's right. And we've looked at a bunch of sources, basically exploring how native speakers actually talk about getting things done. Efficiency, urgency, dedication, all that stuff.
So what's the mission today for you listening?
Well, the goal is really to give you a shortcut. We're not just listing phrases, right? We want to unpack the context, the feeling, the why behind them, why these specific idioms make you sound sharper, more professional.
Okay, sounds good. We've got, 19 phrases lined up?
19 key ones, yeah. And we're starting where the pressure is often highest.
Yeah.
Deadlines, that race against the clock.
Right. High stakes stuff. So let's get into those idioms you use when you're really, pushing to finish something.
And first up, I think it's useful to draw a distinction. There's finishing, and then there's finishing under, intense pressure.
Okay.
So let's compare beat the clock and against the clock.
Ah, okay. Beat the clock. That sounds positive, right? Like you won.
Exactly. It means you finished comfortably before the deadline. There's a real sense of competence there, maybe even a little pride.
So if I email my boss, hey, we managed to beat the clock on the report draft.
Yeah, you're signaling you were efficient, ahead of schedule, it's proactive, it sounds good.
Got it. But then against the clock, that feels different.
Totally different feeling. That means you're in the thick of it, you're scrambling, trying to get it done right as time is running out.
Oh, okay. So much more anxiety-inducing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
More urgency. If you tell a client, the team's working against the clock to integrate your feedback, they understand it's tight, It manages expectations, explains the tension.
Wow. Just changing that one little word beat versus against completely shifts the story you're telling.
It really does. One is about control. The other is about navigating pressure. Very useful in business updates.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, so moving on from the race itself. What about that moment, like the very last second?
The photo finish moments.
Yeah, the first one sounds quite dramatic. In the nick of time.
Oh, yeah, the classic cliffhanger idiom. It means something happened at the absolute last possible moment, often implies you just barely avoided disaster.
Like catching a flight just as they're closing the gate.
Exactly. You might use it professionally for effect, like the backup power kicked in the nick of time, but it can sound maybe a bit too much like a movie script sometimes.
Fair enough. So what's the more business-appropriate version for that last-minute stuff?
That would probably be the 11th hour.
Okay, the 11th hour. How's that different?
It still means the very last moment, but it feels a bit more formal, more suited to, say, project management. It often describes those unavoidable last-second changes or decisions.
Right, like they requested a major design change at the 11th hour.
Precisely. And when you hear that, you understand it wasn't poor planning necessarily. It was just a late-breaking development. It explains delays or complications without sounding overly dramatic.
So it captures that frantic energy, but in a more professional wrapper.
Exactly. Good way to put it. Less about personal drama, more about project reality.
Okay, got it. So that covers the deadline crunch. Now let's shift gears. What about idioms for, like, sustained effort, working smart, and also knowing when to stop?
Right. Moving away from the deadline panic to the everyday rhythm. If you're putting in the hours showing real dedication, you might be burning the midnight oil.
Ah, yes. Working late into the night.
Yeah. Usually studying or focusing hard on something demanding.
Using that phrase definitely gives a sense of commitment, doesn't it? Like if you said in a performance review, I was burning the midnight oil to get the analysis right.
Exactly. It signals effort, personal sacrifice. Creates a bit of empathy, maybe.
Okay. And is there like a step up from that?
Yeah.
Even more intense?
Yeah, if you really ramp up the intensity, like nonstop work, you get around the clock.
Around the clock. So 204/7.
Pretty much.
Probably.
All day, all night, no breaks. Usually for describing major efforts, like a factory during peak season or emergency services.
Right. The IT team worked around the clock to restore the servers. It sounds much bigger, more organizational than just one person working late.
That's a great point. Around the clock is often about a system or a large group effort, whereas burning the midnight oil feels more individual.
Okay. But you can't work around the clock forever.
Definitely not. Which brings us to a really important one for, avoiding burnout. Call it a day.
Simple, classic, means stopping work for now.
Yep. And it's such a good phrase for managers or team leads to use. Saying, all right, team, we've made good progress. Let's call it a day. It's respectful.
Yeah, it acknowledges the effort and gives permission to switch off. Polite, clear, good way to wrap up a meeting, too.
Absolutely. Crucial for work-life balance.
Okay, so we've covered effort. Now, what about working smarter, not just harder? Efficiency.
Right. Getting more done with less effort. That leads us nicely to kill two birds with one stone.
Meaning you achieve two separate things with just one action.
Exactly. It sounds super efficient.
The classic example always works. I'll drop off the package on my way to the meeting, kill two birds with one stone.
Perfect. Now, sometimes people ask me if this one sounds a bit harsh, the killing birds part.
That's interesting. I can see that. It's definitely an old idiom.
It is. But I think in most professional contexts, the efficiency part is so well understood that people don't really focus on the literal image.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Using it emphasizes that you were being resourceful, thinking strategically. Like, I planned this cleverly.
Exactly. It's verbal shorthand for finding synergy. It shows you're thinking ahead. Maybe just be mindful of your audience, but generally it's fine.
Okay. Good to know. So now, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. We're shifting again.
Moving from the immediate how of working to the why, the bigger picture. Wisdom, perspective, foresight.
Yeah, these feel like idioms that carry, life lessons almost.
They really do. They convey a certain philosophy. And maybe the most famous business idiom of all is time is money.
Can't escape that one. Simple, direct. Time is valuable. Don't waste it.
Right. But how do you actually use it effectively beyond just stating the obvious?
Good question.
Well, I think it's useful in meetings. If things are going off track, A gentle, okay, folks, let's refocus on the agenda. Remember, time is money can be a polite way to steer things back.
Using it as a tool to manage the conversation, not just a general statement.
Yeah.
I like that. It's about respecting everyone's time, not just literally making money.
Exactly. And closely related to valuing time is preventing future problems. That brings us to a stitch in time saves 9.
Such a wise one. Fix a small problem now before it becomes huge later.
Absolutely. Think about finding a small bug in code or correcting a typo in a template before it gets used everywhere.
Yeah, that little bit of effort up front saves massive headaches down the line. Let's double check those figures now. A stitch in time saves 9.
It really champions being proactive, responsible, avoiding that bigger cost later by dealing with the small stuff now. Great for quality control discussions.
Okay. Now, shifting from prevention to patience. Sometimes you're facing something huge, right?
Yeah.
A massive project.
Yeah, and you need that reminder that big things take time. That's where Rome wasn't built in a day comes in.
Such a great idiom. So encouraging.
It really is. It acknowledges that important achievements don't happen overnight. They need sustained effort, patience. Perfect for mentoring someone who's maybe feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, telling a junior team member, look, learning the system takes time, Rome wasn't built in a day, reassures them that it's a process. It normalizes the struggle a bit.
Exactly. Very human, very realistic.
Okay, now for a couple of quicker ones, maybe more for observation or small talk.
Definitely. First, time flies.
Yes. Time passes really quickly, especially when you're busy or having fun.
The ultimate phrase for expressing surprise at how quickly a week or a meeting went by. Wow, is it Friday already? Time flies.
Standard water cooler stuff, but useful. And what about things that hardly ever happen?
For that, we have the lovely, slightly poetic once in a blue moon.
Meaning very, very rarely.
Exactly. It adds a bit of color, doesn't it? We only get this kind of detailed client feedback once in a blue moon.
It really emphasizes how special or unusual the event is. Much more evocative than just saying rarely.
Agreed. You could even use it to explain an outlier in a data report. Give it a bit more life.
Nice. Okay, final section. Let's talk about getting back on track and seizing opportunities, taking action.
Right, moving from observing time to actively managing it, especially after delays or deciding when to act.
So what if something is late? Or someone?
Well, the first phrase you might hear, often said with a sort of shrug, is better late than never.
Yeah, acknowledges the lateness but says, hey, at least it happened. It's better than nothing.
Exactly. It's kind of optimistic or maybe just resigned acceptance. When he finally sent the invoice, better late than never.
Okay, but in a team setting, you probably need more than just acceptance, right? You need action.
Absolutely. And that's where make up for lost time comes in. This is the follow-up.
So work faster or harder to catch up after a delay.
Precisely. It shifts the focus immediately from the past delay to the future action plan. Okay, the supplier issue set us back a week, so now we need to really make up for lost time.
That sounds really proactive. Motivating, even. It says, okay, problem acknowledged, now here's what we do.
Exactly. It's all about forward momentum, not excuses. Really powerful in team meetings.
Got it. Now, what about starting things, taking initiative early?
For the early birds, there's at the crack of dawn.
Very, very early in the morning, like sunrise.
Yeah, the very first light. It paints a clear picture, doesn't it? Yeah. And using it suggests discipline, maybe getting a head start. She likes to get to the office at the crack of dawn to have some quiet time.
Right. It highlights that proactive early start mentality.
And when immediate action is absolutely critical, when there's real urgency,
then you need something direct.
You do. You need no time to lose.
Okay. That's blunt. No messing around.
Exactly. It cuts through discussion. It means act now. The deadline is noon, people. No time to lose. It rallies everyone for immediate action.
Traits that shared sense of urgency.
It does. And finally, what about when everything aligns? When it's the perfect moment to act?
The golden opportunity.
Yes. For that, we have the wonderful phrase, the time is ripe.
Oh, I like that one. It sounds so confident. Mature, like a perfectly ripened fruit.
Exactly that feeling. It means this is the absolute ideal moment to do something, often something significant. With the market trends and our new platform ready, the time is ripe to expand.
Using that in a presentation or proposal sounds incredibly strategic, doesn't it? Very optimistic about success.
It really does. It suggests careful planning has led to this perfect moment. Very persuasive.
So when you step back and look at all these, it's clear they're more than just vocabulary, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. This isn't just about scheduling. Mastering these idioms helps you communicate nuance, confidence, wisdom, It genuinely upgrades how you sound in English, especially professionally.
Yeah. Knowing the subtle difference between, say, beat the clock and against the clock, or when to use 11th hour versus nick of time, that gives you real precision.
Exactly. It adds that layer of naturalness and professional punch.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe ponder. Considering that, well, time is money. What stitch in time? What small proactive thing could you do today?
Or maybe early this week.
Yeah, early this week to prevent yourself from having to burn the midnight oil later on when things inevitably get busy.
That little bit of foresight. That's your takeaway challenge, making that small effort now.
Think about that strategic stitch. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We spent some time on time management language, and now we're shifting gears a bit.
Yes.
We're moving into what you might call the heavy hitters of professional English.
Right.
That's the world of work, effort, and success idioms.
Yes, and this is a deep dive many listeners have actually asked for. The goal today, it isn't just about learning vocabulary lists. It's more about grasping those, linguistic shortcuts that native speakers use all the time, things that convey motivation, professionalism, confidence.
Right.
And if you can use these phrases naturally, you kind of stop translating in your head. You really start thinking more like a native professional speaker.
Exactly. We're looking for those highest impact phrases, the key nuggets that make your communication sound really driven, positive, and just natural, whether you're in a meeting, an interview, or even just writing an email. So our mission is to pull out the strategic advantage these phrases offer. Let's jump right in. We can start by looking at the language of personal commitment, what we're calling the drive for excellence.
Okay, yeah. And the best place to start is probably with an idiom every hiring manager loves to hear. Go the extra mile.
Ah, yes.
It's pretty straightforward. It just means putting in more effort than is strictly necessary or expected to get something done.
That's such a critical phrase, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you use that in conversation, you're not just saying, I did my job. You're signaling something deeper, like intrinsic motivation.
Precisely. Our sources really highlight that employers love this phrase, not just because it means hard work. It signifies passion, real personal investment, not just, compliance.
You're showing you care about the outcome.
Exactly. If you're talking about a project saying something like, our team really went the extra mile to make this launch a success, well, that elevates it. It shows true dedication, far beyond just meeting the deadline.
But sometimes that dedication, it requires less flash and more sustained effort, right? Which I think brings us nicely to keep your nose to the grindstone.
This one means working really hard and staying intensely focused, often over a longer period.
It has a very strong, determined image, like really knuckling down.
It does, that image of, manually grinding something. Now, some people might say it sounds a little old-fashioned, and maybe it is slightly, but it's still widely used, especially in workplaces or motivational contexts. It carries that weight of serious, maybe unglamorous, hard work, sustained effort.
Okay, I see that distinction. So strategically, should you use this about yourself? Or is it okay to, say, tell your team to do this?
That's a good question. The advice seems to be it's best reserved for describing your own efforts or perhaps praising a colleague you respect. You might say, she really kept her nose to the grindstone and finished that report way ahead of schedule. It's a compliment then.
Right. Acknowledging her work ethic.
Exactly. But telling your team, okay, everyone, keep your noses to the grindstone, it could come across as a bit demanding, maybe a little humorless. Yeah.
Got it. Good clarification. Okay, next up, let's talk about starting strong, launching something with energy. Hit the ground running.
Ah, yes. This means starting something new, a job, a project, quickly and effectively, without that slow, gradual start.
This feels like pure gold for job interviews.
Absolutely. If you can confidently tell a potential employer, look, I'm ready, I can hit the ground running on this project, you've just communicated two things at once, motivation and competence. It helps ease their worry about a long, slow onboarding period.
It's kind of the opposite of saying there'll be a steep learning curve, isn't it?
Exactly. It signals immediate value.
And if hitting the ground running is about a strong start, what about continuous improvement? That seems to fit with raise the bar.
Yes, meaning to set a higher standard for performance going forward. It's inherently motivational, Whether you apply it to yourself, your team, or even a whole industry, it's about striving for excellence, constantly pushing upwards.
Okay, so once you've established that personal drive, going the extra mile, hitting the ground running, raising the bar, the next logical step seems to be how you fit into a group. This takes us from individual effort to the teamwork aspect, collective drive.
And that really has to start with accountability, doesn't it? You need everyone to pull your weight, which simply means doing your fair share of the work, contributing properly to the group's effort.
This phrase seems, well, brilliant because it's polite, but also perfectly clear. It's the kind of language you might need if a team project feels a bit unbalanced.
Right. You could say maybe in a team meeting something like, okay, folks, for this plan to work, everyone really needs to pull their weight. It's a reminder. It frames responsibility without being overly aggressive or accusatory.
And crucial for any kind of collaboration is clarity, shared understanding, which is why on the same page is probably used so often.
Oh, constantly. If you're on the same page, it just means everyone agrees on the situation, understands the plan, the goals, everything.
This has got to be one of the most frequent check-in phrases in like corporate settings, right?
Yeah.
Before a big decision or launch, someone always asks, okay, just checking, are we all on the same page here?
Exactly. It's simple, it works, and it's like an instant alignment check.
Related to that, but maybe slightly different, is in the same boat.
Yes. This means being in the same situation as other people, and often it implies a challenging or difficult situation.
I find this one can be really unifying. Like if you're facing a really tough deadline or some tricky market shift, just reminding colleagues, look, we're all in the same boat here. We've all got to meet this deadline. It builds camaraderie.
It does. It fosters that sense of shared struggle and mutual support. It's an empathy builder, as you said.
And for anyone new coming into a group or a new field, there's learn the ropes.
Which means understanding how things work, especially the sort of established procedures and unspoken rules of a new job or environment.
The sources suggest this is a great one to use when talking about your own progress, maybe. Like telling your manager after a while, yeah, it took me a few weeks to really learn the ropes here, but I feel comfortable now.
Exactly. It signals that you're now up to speed, you're competent, but it also acknowledges there was a learning period. It shows progress without sounding like you're bragging. It manages those initial expectations gracefully.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, let's shift again maybe to the more strategic side of things.
Right.
Ideas, problem solving.
Yeah.
And what happens when things don't go to plan? Strategy, ideas, and recovery.
Right. Dealing with the sharp end of business sometimes.
We absolutely have to start with that ultimate validation phrase. Hit the nail on the head.
Oh, yeah. Meaning you described something perfectly, you got something exactly right, or you identified the core of an issue instantly.
It feels so much stronger than just saying, that's correct.
It really does. Saying you hit the nail on the head suggests, like, decisive, undeniable accuracy. Precision. It shows you really grasped the situation. Super valuable in feedback sessions or meetings. You know, your comment earlier about the supply chain issue, that really hit the nail on the head.
And once the problem is identified, you often need a creative fix. Which brings us, I suppose, to that phrase, maybe overused, but still vital. Think outside the box.
Yes, the magic phrase of corporate creativity. It does border on cliche sometimes because you hear it so much, but it persists because it's just such an effective shorthand for saying, we need innovation here, new approaches.
Using it naturally still signals you're looking for fresh perspectives, right?
Absolutely. It shows leadership thinking. When you say, okay, team, we need a completely fresh design for this campaign, let's really think outside the box, you're clearly stating that the usual solutions aren't going to cut it.
And while the team is maybe thinking outside the box, someone needs to keep track of the big picture.
Yes. The overall view, the strategic overview of a situation, considering all the factors and, importantly, the long-term implications.
Why is this seen particularly as a leadership phrase?
Well, because it demonstrates strategic foresight, you know. Leaders use it to help teams avoid getting bogged down in tiny details, micro issues that maybe don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's about prioritizing efforts on what actually moves the needle for the organization.
Makes sense. But sometimes, even with the best strategy, the brilliant outside-the-box idea, well, it fails. In the professional world, failure often isn't the end, is it? It's more like a reset. Which leads us to back to the drawing board.
Exactly. Meaning you have to start over after a plan fails or a mistake is made. What's great about this phrase, I think, is its inherent resilience. It doesn't sound negative or defeatist, really.
No, it doesn't.
It just acknowledges the setback, and it immediately implies, okay, we learned something, now we're ready to try a different approach.
So if a client hates the prototype, you just say, well, okay, the client rejected the design, it's back to the drawing board. It sounds quite determined, actually, not defeated.
Completely. Okay, so that naturally transitions us into our fourth area, professional conduct and communication. And we can start this section with two idioms that function almost like warnings, managerial warnings maybe, about integrity and realistic limits.
Okay, warnings. First, the one about ambition getting ahead of capability. Bite off more than you can chew.
Describes taking on a task or responsibility that's just too big or too difficult for your current capacity. It's really important for, setting realistic boundaries and managing workloads effectively. If you see a colleague struggling, you might observe, perhaps privately, yeah, he tried to manage 3 major projects at once. I think he bit off more than he could chew. It kind of diagnoses the overload.
Right. And the other warning, against sacrificing quality for speed or cost. Cut corners.
Yeah. This means doing something cheaply or carelessly, maybe skipping steps just to save time or effort. And this one carries a pretty strong implication of poor quality, maybe even poor integrity.
It sounds inherently negative.
Yeah, it is. In most professional settings, the value placed on quality and safety usually outweighs just being fast. So managers use this to enforce standards. You'll hear things like, whatever you do, don't cut corners on the safety checks. It's just not worth the risk.
Okay, so those are the warnings. On the positive side of professional conduct, we have by the book.
Meaning to follow the rules, the guidelines, the established procedures, exactly, meticulously.
This feels very important in certain fields, right? Like finance or HR, anywhere with regulations.
Absolutely. It's vital for formal or corporate English. It immediately communicates professionalism, adherence to standards, systems. If someone asks how a tricky process was handled, replying, "Don't worry, we followed everything strictly by the book," demonstrates accountability and thoroughness.
And to get that structured process started in the first place, we often use that phrase about momentum, get the ball rolling.
Yes, which just means to start something, kick something off, usually a project, a meeting, maybe an important discussion.
It sounds energetic, positive.
It is. It's perfect for a leader or facilitator to use to move things from, say, planning or small talk into actual action. Right, we've discussed the agenda enough. Let's get the ball rolling on these budget proposals.
Okay. And then there's perhaps the most ubiquitous communication staple of modern business English, touch base.
Oh, definitely. You see this everywhere, especially in emails and meeting requests. It just means to contact someone or reconnect briefly, usually to discuss a specific targeted item.
It feels professional, but also kind of friendly. Less demanding than we need to talk.
Exactly. It implies a quick, focused interaction, which is probably why it's often preferred over vaguer phrases. It respects people's time.
So instead of scheduling a long follow-up meeting, you might just ping someone an email saying, "Hey, let's touch base next week about the proposal."
Precisely. It suggests efficiency and respects the other person's busy schedule.
Right. Okay, that brings us towards the end, to our final group of phrases. Let's call it the ultimate success mindset. These are about peak performance and high ambition.
Sounds good. Starting with perhaps the ultimate compliment you can give a reliable colleague or employee: on the ball.
What does that mean exactly? More than just alert.
Oh yeah, much more. It means you're alert, yes, but also highly efficient, proactive, quick to react, ready for anything. It signifies real competence and reliability. If your boss says you're really on the ball, that's high praise. It means you're a valuable asset.
Okay. And for describing career progression, there's the classic, climb the ladder.
Meaning to move up within your career, gaining positions with more authority, more responsibility, higher status. It clearly shows ambition, a drive for growth, and determination over time.
And fittingly, we end with a phrase that kind of encapsulates all this potential, the reminder of opportunity.
Yes.
The sky's the limit.
Yes. A wonderfully positive and inspiring idiom. It essentially means there are no boundaries, no upper limits to what you can achieve, especially if you apply that hard work, that drive, that smart thinking we've been discussing.
It feels like the perfect thing to say in a mentorship context, right? Honestly, with your talent and the effort you put in, the sky's the limit.
Absolutely. It's pure encouragement.
So we've covered, wow, almost 24 really powerful phrases today.
We have. And remember, listeners, mastering these isn't just about vocabulary. It's really the fastest way to achieve clarity in your communication, to sound confident, and to convey that professional drive almost effortlessly.
Yeah, this isn't just theoretical knowledge, is it? This is a toolkit you can use immediately, in high-stakes situations even.
Exactly. So as you go forward from this deep dive, as you start trying to integrate these phrases into your emails, your meetings, your presentations, maybe ask yourself this. Of all the idioms we just went through, from pull your weight to climb the ladder, Which one feels most critical for your current goal right now? Are you maybe focused on avoiding that trap of biting off more than you can chew? Or are you actively looking for ways to go the extra mile to stand out? This is the kind of focused thinking that lets you take this knowledge and, well, hit the ground running with it.
All right, let's get into it. If you spend ages really perfecting your grammar, but your English still feels a bit, stiff.
Like you're reading from a script.
Exactly, not like a real flowing conversation. So, this deep dive, we think it's your shortcut.
Yeah. Because native speakers, we use these communication idioms all the time, constantly.
And without even thinking about it, usually. And getting these right, that's the leap from just being correct to actually sounding, fluent.
That really is the mission today, isn't it? We want to give you the actual tools, the phrases that help you feel confident, in control, give your conversation some rhythm.
Right, because these idioms, they aren't just fancy decorations.
No, not at all. They're like little packages of meaning, super efficient.
Totally. So we're going to look at how you use them in different situations. Professional stuff, emotional cues, making connections.
And we'll break it up by context, starting with the professional world where, clarity is just crucial.
Makes sense. Okay, part 1, professional clarity in action.
Let's kick off with directness. Getting things done. When time's tight, you really need this power phrase. Get straight to the point.
Yes. It's kind of a polite way to say, let's not waste time, isn't it?
Exactly. It's efficient. If you're in a meeting and you say, look, we don't have much time, so let's get straight to the point, what are you doing?
You're showing you're in charge of the time. Confident. Decisive.
Precisely. And then there's the flip side, which you also need to recognize. Beat around the bush.
Right. When someone's just not getting to it, avoiding the main issue.
Yeah. They talk about everything but the important thing.
Okay, but quick question. How direct can you be with that one? Can I actually say, stop beating around the bush to my boss?
Ooh, good question. Risky. Very risky.
Yeah, I thought so. Feels a bit impatient, maybe even rude.
It can definitely come across that way. It carries frustration. Best for peers you know well, or someone who's genuinely, stalling.
So with someone senior?
Probably better to circle back to the first one, maybe softer. Could we perhaps focus on the main point? Or just to be mindful of time, shall we get straight to the core issue? Something like that.
Okay, good tip. Keep it professional. Speaking of professional, another one for efficiency. In a nutshell.
Ah, yes. The summarizer's best friend.
Right. It's like saying, here's the short version.
Exactly. You've got a long report, a complex story. You start with, in a nutshell, and everyone knows you're giving them the key takeaway.
In a nutshell, the project was a huge success.
That's neat. Tidy.
It shows you can synthesize information. Very valuable.
Okay, moving from summarizing to delegating, maybe. Responsibility.
Yes. Knowing whose turn it is to act, crucial in teams. And the classic phrase here is, the ball is in your court.
Love that one. It's so clear, isn't it? Like passing a literal ball.
It is. It's polite, but it's firm. It means, okay, I've done my part. Now it's up to you to make the next move or decision.
Yeah, I've sent the proposal, so now the ball's in their court. It just shifts the focus, the pressure, really. And it's clear who needs to act next, which, speaking of clarity and action, brings us to keep someone in the loop.
Oh, this is everywhere, especially in emails, right?
Constantly. Please keep me in the loop, or just looping you in on this.
And it's not just being nice, is it? It feels like it's also about CYA, covering yourself.
Yeah. Well, yes. It can be. It's partly good teamwork, making sure everyone has the info they need. But it's also about making sure you can't say later, oh, I didn't know about that. It establishes that expectation of being informed.
Right. So professionalism, teamwork, and maybe a little bit of accountability management.
You could say that. Now, for more formal situations, like a proper debate or a board meeting.
Okay. Different vibe.
Yeah. Then you might hear have the floor.
The chairman has the floor now. Sounds quite official.
It is. It manages turn-taking in a structured way, respecting the process, the hierarchy sometimes.
Okay. And one more for the professional toolkit. This one feels a bit more about relationships. Put in a good word.
Yes. This is about using your influence, your social capital.
Like vouching for someone.
Exactly. Saying something positive to help someone out, I'll put in a good word for you with the manager.
It shows you're willing to stick your neck out a bit. Builds connection. Loyalty, maybe?
Definitely. A bit of kindness, a bit of influence, powerful combination.
Okay, so that covers a lot of the professional ground. Getting things done, being clear.
But communication isn't always that straightforward, is it? Sometimes clarity is elusive.
Right. Sometimes it's about what's not said. Which takes us into part 2. Reading the room and subtle meanings. Emotional intelligence territory.
Mm-hmm. And the absolute cornerstone idiom here has to be read between the lines.
Yes. Understanding the hidden message, the stuff they don't say out loud.
Precisely. It's about picking up on tone, context, body language, all those clues.
Like if your friend says their new job is okay, but they sound really flat.
Exactly. You'd say, well, he said it was okay, but reading between the lines, I think he hates it.
It shows you're actually listening, paying attention beyond just the words.
Mm-hmm.
Empathy, Fred.
Deeply connected to empathy. And related to this, but maybe a bit more action-oriented, is get the message.
This is about understanding an indirect hint, isn't it?
Often, yes. When someone's trying to tell you something without being blunt.
Which happens a lot in, say, British culture, maybe. Trying to be polite.
Oh, very much so. And this phrase, get the message, can be used in a slightly, well, cheeky way sometimes.
How do you mean?
Like, it's a polite nudge. You might say, I stopped inviting him to things. I hope he gets the message. You're not confronting him directly, but you're making your point.
I see. It avoids the awkwardness, but still communicates the boundary. Passive-aggressive, almost.
It can lean that way, yes. It preserves social harmony, on the surface at least.
Okay. Now for something maybe less subtle, more frustratingly real. Get a word in edgewise.
Oh, yes. Everyone's been there.
When someone just talks and talks and talks.
And you literally cannot find a gap to say anything. That's when you can't get a word in edgewise.
No. She was so wound up I couldn't get a word in edgewise. It perfectly captures that feeling of being shut out of the conversation rhythm.
It really does. A very relatable, if slightly exasperated, idiom.
Okay, so we've looked at professional clarity and then the subtle art of reading between the lines.
Now let's shift again. Let's talk about authenticity, action, and social connection. This is about reputation, trust, doing what you say you'll do.
Really fundamental stuff. Where do we start?
Let's start with trust. Word of mouth.
Like recommendations spreading naturally.
Exactly. Person to person. Not through advertising, but because people genuinely trust and recommend something.
That's huge in business, isn't it? Most of our clients come through word of mouth. That says a lot.
It says your reputation is solid, built on real experiences, real trust. Invaluable.
And for personal connection, that feeling of instantly clicking with someone.
For that, we have on the same wavelength.
Nice. Like your minds are tuned to the same frequency.
Precisely. You just get each other. You understand each other almost without needing to explain.
We work so well together, we're just always on the same wavelength. It implies real synergy, doesn't it?
It really does. A great feeling when it happens.
Okay, now, the tension zone. Promises versus reality. Actions versus words.
Yes. And the first phrase here is pretty blunt. Talk is cheap.
Ooh, strong words. When would you use that?
When you're fed up with empty promises. When someone talks a big game but never delivers.
So, it's kind of a challenge. Or expressing skepticism.
Both. He keeps saying he'll help, but talk is cheap. It cuts right through the excuses and demands action, or at least acknowledges the lack of it.
Right. And maybe the more philosophical version of that idea.
That would be actions speak louder than words.
A classic. And true everywhere, really.
Absolutely timeless. What you do matters more than what you say. It's about integrity, follow through. Shows maturity, respect.
And isn't there a phrase that combines the saying and the doing?
Yes. You need to talk the talk and walk the walk.
Okay. So the talk is being able to speak confidently, persuasively.
Right. Sounding convincing, but that's only half of it.
The other half is walk the walk. Actually doing the things you talked about, backing it up.
Exactly. Credibility comes from doing both. Saying it and doing it. That's authenticity.
Got it. Walk the walk.
Yeah.
Okay, let's lighten things up a bit. Socializing, connecting with people.
Crucial skills. And if you're feeling a bit awkward, maybe in a new group, what do you need to do first?
You need to break the ice.
Yep. Start the conversation, make people feel a bit more comfortable.
Could be a joke, a question, an observation.
Yeah.
Anything to get things rolling.
Releases that initial tension, opens the door for connection.
And once the ice is broken, you often move into...
small talk, the art of casual conversation about, well, not much.
Yeah, the weather, weekend plans, how you got there.
Exactly. And some learners kind of dismiss it, think it's pointless. Big mistake.
Why is that?
Because in many English-speaking cultures, small talk is the gateway. It's how you build initial rapport. If you can't handle the small talk, you might not get to the deeper conversations.
Huh. Interesting. It's like a social lubricant then.
Pretty much. Okay, a fun one now. That moment when you're talking about someone?
And they suddenly appear.
Yes. That's when you say, speak of the devil.
Or talk of the devil. Always gets a little laugh.
It does. It's playful, lighthearted, creates instant common ground, that little moment of coincidence. Speak of the devil. Here comes John now.
Okay. What about secrets? Revealing something you shouldn't have.
Ah, the accidental reveal? That's spill the beans.
Like literally spilling them. Where does that come from?
You know, the origins are a bit debated. Maybe something about voting systems in ancient Greece. But today, it just means letting a secret out.
Usually by mistake, right? Oops, I spilled the beans about the surprise party.
Often, accidentally, yeah. Everyone gets the meaning instantly.
And finally, let's circle back to emotion. Sharing something that's bothering you.
A really important one for connection and, honestly, mental well-being. Get something off your chest.
To finally say something that's been weighing on you.
Exactly. To express that worry or frustration or secret burden, it's about release.
It implies a feeling of relief afterwards, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's the whole point. I just needed to talk about it, get it off my chest. I feel so much better. It's communication as catharsis, as healing.
Wow, okay. That covers a huge range, from boardroom tactics to spilling secrets.
It really does.
So wrapping this up, the big takeaway seems to be that real communication fluency isn't just about knowing the words.
No, it's much more than that. It's about meaning, definitely, but also tone, context, cultural nuance.
And these idioms, they're like keys, aren't they? They unlock that deeper level of connection, expressing yourself more naturally, building real credibility.
That's it perfectly. The goal isn't just to, translate these phrases in your head. It's to feel the rhythm of when and how to use them, to internalize them. That's when you really start sounding fluent.
So as you, our listeners, go out and maybe try some of these, here's a final thought to chew on.
Ooh, okay.
Which idioms tell you more about someone's character? The ones they use to be really direct and upfront? Or the ones they use masterfully to avoid being direct while still getting what they want?
That's a tricky one. Directness versus subtle navigation. Yeah, something to definitely think about.
Definitely. Food for thought until our next deep dive.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on something specific, the language that signals professional power. We're not just listing definitions. We're going deep into how professional, money, and career idioms, the phrases people use all the time, can make you sound confident, experienced, fluent, really, in the whole culture of business.
That's exactly the mission here. We've looked at a whole collection of these expressions, the ones you hear constantly in workplaces globally.
Right.
And the point isn't just, learning more words. It's about getting a real professional edge. It's almost like a shortcut to sounding credible, so you can focus on your actual message.
Exactly. So you sound authentic. We're going to pull out the most potent phrases and talk about not just what they mean, but really how and when to use them for maximum impact.
Okay, let's jump right in. How about we start with idioms about working together? Collaboration, unity, agreement. That's fundamental, isn't it?
Absolutely. And when you talk about collaboration, especially in deals or partnerships, you almost have to start with a win-win situation.
Yeah, that's kind of the gold standard, isn't it? Especially for negotiations. It tells the other side immediately you're looking for something fair, where everyone gets to be good out of it. If you bring that up early, it sort of changes the whole tone.
Yeah.
Steers things away from being adversarial.
It really does shift the dynamic. It's not what can I get. It becomes how do we both succeed? Like, if you're pitching a partnership, saying something like, structuring it this way creates a true win-win for both our companies. That shows you're thinking long-term.
Yeah, it builds trust, definitely. Now, thinking more internally, maybe when things get tough, you need language for empathy, right? For unity. That brings us to in the same boat.
Oh, that's a great one. So important for team morale, especially when, you're facing a crunch time or a crisis.
Exactly. It acknowledges the shared difficulty, but without just complaining.
Right.
A good leader might say, look, this deadline is tight, I know, but we're all in the same boat here and we'll get through it together. It turns that stress into something collective. Shared resilience.
Yeah, we're in this together. And speaking of getting things done together efficiently, probably the most common phrase for checking understanding is on the same page. You hear it constantly.
All the time.
And
And it's simple, but so important. It just means, does everyone understand this? Do we all agree on what's next? It's that basic check for alignment.
And our sources really highlighted this one as almost, well, mandatory. It's polite, it's cooperative. Instead of asking, did you get that? Which can sound a bit sharp.
Yeah, a bit confrontational sometimes.
Right. You say, just want to make sure we're all on the same page about the launch plan. It assumes alignment is the goal. Helps avoid those big, costly misunderstandings later.
That's a perfect transition, actually, because once you're aligned, you need to execute well.
Yeah.
So let's unpack the language around performance, quality, and maybe innovation.
Okay, well, if we're talking innovation, we kind of have to mention the big one. Think outside the box. Yes, the classic. It's everywhere in brainstorming sessions. But, the question is, does it sound a bit tired now? A bit cliche? It definitely can, can't it, if you just throw it out there generically. But I think you can use it strategically. It still signals you want new ideas. Maybe if you're leading a meeting, you could say something like, okay, team, we need fresh ideas for this marketing campaign. And apologies for using the phrase, but let's genuinely try to think outside the box here.
That's clever. Acknowledge the cliche itself. That makes it sound more deliberate, less like you're just reciting buzzwords. Okay, so moving from ideas to effort. Go the extra mile. Oh, I like this one. It's perfect for, say, a performance review or a job interview. It says you're dedicated, you take initiative, but without sounding like you're bragging too much.
Yeah, it means doing more than just what's expected, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if someone asks in an interview about a tough customer, you could say, well, I really went the extra mile, stayed late to sort out their issue personally. It just shows that service focus, ownership.
It's a really nice phrase. Sums up dedication quite elegantly. And then when someone does deliver that perfect solution or insight, you need a way to acknowledge it strongly. You hit the nail on the head. Yes, so satisfying to say, and probably to hear too.
Definitely. It means you got it exactly right. Whether it's an analysis, a diagnosis of a problem, a solution, saying, wow, Sarah, you really hit the nail on the head with that assessment is great validation.
Yeah.
Makes you sound fluent too. Okay, now let's flip that. Let's talk about quality control, the warnings. We have a pair here. First, the one about doing things badly to save time or money. Cut corners.
Right.
To cut corners is to do something, well, quickly or cheaply, but improperly. And the sources we looked at often link this to pretty serious stuff, safety, compliance.
Yeah, you might hear a project manager say, we absolutely cannot cut corners on the safety inspections just to meet the deadline. It's a clear warning against sacrificing quality or safety.
And the direct opposite, in a way, is doing things by the book.
Following the rules precisely. Procedures followed exactly. Think auditors, compliance departments, exactly. But here's the nuance, right? Sometimes it's positive. With these new regulations, we have to do everything strictly by the book. That means careful, correct, but...
But sometimes it's used negatively. Like, I had a creative workaround, but the finance team insisted on doing it by the book, meaning they were being too rigid, maybe bureaucratic.
Okay, so context is key there. Is it praise for being careful or frustration at inflexibility?
Precisely. You need to listen to the tone.
Got it. Okay, so we've covered teamwork, getting things done right. But what about the results? The money? Let's get into the language of finance and success. This stuff is, well, it's non-negotiable for sounding credible. Absolutely. Yeah. And the most basic financial idiom, the starting point really, is that pair. In the red and...
in the black.
Yeah.
In the red means you're losing money, you're in debt. Essential term.
Yeah, and it literally comes from old accounting, where they use red ink for losses and black ink for profits. Knowing that little bit of history helps it stick.
Okay.
So when the quarterly results are bad, the CFO might say, unfortunately, we ended Q3 significantly in the red. Everyone knows what that means.
And the flip side, in the black, means profitable. Okay, a more positive one and kind of a fun phrase is cash cow. Yeah. It's memorable. A cash cow is a product, maybe a service, or a whole business unit that just reliably makes a lot of money without needing much more investment.
Right. Comes from that old Boston Consulting Group matrix, doesn't it? Where they classified business units.
That's the origin, yeah. So if your company has, say, an older software product that everyone still pays subscriptions for, that's your cash cow. It often funds the new, riskier projects. Understanding that strategic role is key.
Makes sense. And maybe switching to personal finance for a moment, a slightly warmer, maybe older idiom, bring home the bacon.
Yeah, it's definitely got a bit of an older feel, but you still hear it. It just means earning the money your household needs to live on.
Right. It's a sort of folksy way to talk about being the provider. He took the second job because, well, someone had to bring home the bacon. Light but clear. Okay, great. Let's shift to our last big area. Careers. Moving up, starting out, and importantly, how we talk about setbacks professionally. Ambition and resilience. Okay. For anyone trying to break into a new company or industry, the crucial first step is often just to get your foot in the door.
This one's all about persistence, isn't it? It means getting that very first opportunity. Maybe it's an internship, maybe an entry-level job. The idea is once you're in, you can prove yourself and hopefully move up.
Yeah, it encourages people to see value in those initial, maybe smaller roles. It's a starting point.
And once you are in that new role, you need to learn the ropes.
Ah, another classic. It just means getting familiar with how things work, right? Learning the procedures, the systems, gaining that basic experience.
Exactly. If you're the new person, saying something like, my main focus for the first few weeks is just learning the ropes, sounds perfectly normal. Humble, but proactive.
Okay. And then the long-term goal, for many, the traditional path, is to climb the corporate ladder.
Yeah, that phrase really captures that idea of ambition, getting promotions, moving up level by level in the hierarchy. But, there's a bit of a debate about this one now, isn't there?
That's a good point. Is the ladder metaphor still accurate?
Well, our sources pointed out that while people still use the phrase, career paths are often less linear now. People talk more about, like, a career jungle gym or a matrix, moving sideways, gaining different skills, not just straight up.
Right. So using climb the ladder still signals that traditional ambition, but it's good to be aware that the reality might be more complex, shows nuance.
Exactly. Okay, so shifting from ambition to, well, dealing with things when they don't go right. Resilience. If a big project fails or a proposal gets rejected, the professional response is often to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I think this is one of the best idioms for handling failure constructively. It's polite, it's solution-focused. It basically says, okay, that didn't work. Let's start over and figure out a new approach.
It shifts the focus away from blame and towards, okay, what do we do next? If the client hates the first design, you don't panic. You say, all right, team, looks like we're back to the drawing board on this one. It keeps things calm.
Maintains professionalism, but sometimes the failure is more personal or has direct consequences for someone. If you make a big mistake, you might find yourself in hot water.
Yeah, that's a very vivid one. Means you're in trouble, facing problems, probably because of something you did or didn't do, like missing a critical deadline or messing up a big presentation. He's definitely in hot water with the boss after that budget error.
Okay. And if the trouble is serious enough, there are consequences. You have to pay the price.
This one sounds quite serious, and it usually is. It means facing the negative results of a mistake or a bad decision. Could be a fine, could be losing a contract, could be damage to reputation. They ignored the warnings, and now the company's paying the price. It's about accountability. Lessons learned, often the hard way.
Right. And one last one in this vein. What about when you're facing a really big challenge? Something with low probability of success, but maybe a huge potential reward if it works out. That's a long shot.
Yeah, exactly. It's an honest way to talk about risk. Getting this experimental drug approved this year is a long shot, but if we manage it, the impact will be enormous. It acknowledges the difficulty, but hints that it might still be worth trying. Realistic, but kind of motivational too.
Okay. And just to round this section off with a couple of more positive, inspirational ones we found. Starting something entirely new, like a business or a major project, from the very beginning. That's doing it from scratch.
Yeah, that phrase immediately signals a huge amount of effort, creativity, maybe building something out of nothing. Really common in stories about entrepreneurship.
And when that perfect moment arrives, that unmissable chance, that's a golden opportunity.
Right. Very optimistic phrase. Urges you to act now. This market opening is a golden opportunity for us. Don't miss it.
So wrapping this all up, this deep dive really shows these idioms aren't just, colorful extras. They are genuine tools for professional communication.
Absolutely. Using phrases like win-win or on the same page or even back to the drawing board consistently, it does more than just make you sound like you belong. It actually helps shape the interactions.
Right. It fosters cooperation, ensures clarity.
And that directly impacts your credibility, how people see you in meetings, negotiations, everywhere. Yeah, because the source material really hammered this point home. Language isn't just words, especially in business, it's power. So here's a final thought to leave you with. If consciously using these kinds of positive, constructive idioms actually changes how your team communicates, how might that same professional language, used consistently, subtly, start to shift your own internal thinking, your decision-making, maybe even how you approach risk or opportunity? And ultimately, could carefully choosing your words actually change the path of your career? Something to think about. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through mountains of information to give you, well, the ultimate shortcut to real knowledge. Today we're diving into something really interesting. The English language itself. Specifically, those powerful idioms about motivation, getting ahead, success, and just general wisdom.
That's right. And we're not just, listing vocabulary here. These phrases, they're almost like linguistic shortcuts. They pack in life philosophies, emotional intelligence. They really show how native speakers think about encouraging each other, facing tough times, and growing.
Yeah, the ones with real heart. You hear them in talks, movies.
They speak to you.
Exactly. They've got that emotional core.
So our mission for you, listening in, is to help you quickly get not just what they mean, but why people use them. What's the subtle lesson behind each one? We've grouped them by theme, sort of. We'll start with mindset, then move into effort, action, and finally, strategy. Sound good?
Sounds great. Let's dive in. Mindset's the perfect starting point, isn't it?
Definitely. The foundation. Yeah. Specifically, resilience. That ability to find, I suppose, opportunity or light when things feel difficult. And the classic one for this has to be, every cloud has a silver lining.
Right. The basic idea is clear. Even bad stuff can lead to something good. But does it sometimes feel a bit too simple? Maybe even dismissive when someone's really struggling.
That's a really good point. I think the key is how it's used. Often it's more reflective, looking back, like, okay, that was tough, but this good thing came out of it.
Okay.
So it's not just blind optimism. It's almost like an exercise in emotional intelligence. It makes you actively look for that unintended benefit,
So like maybe you lose your job, terrible cloud, but the silver lining is it pushes you to finally start that business you'd been dreaming about.
Exactly that. The lesson learned, maybe the hard way. Now, if every cloud is about finding that positive reflection, we've got its more energetic cousin. When the going gets tough, the tough get going.
Yeah, that one's punchy. No room for excuses there. It's saying strong people don't just cope, they actually step up when things get hard.
Absolutely. It's a real call to action. Think coaches, leaders, they use this one. It's not about passively waiting for the storm to pass.
Right.
It's about standing up, fighting back almost, using that pressure as fuel. It champions that immediate disciplined response.
And since challenges are going to happen, we obviously need a phrase for bouncing back. When you stumble, you need to get back on your feet.
Yes. And this tells you something important about kind of the cultural attitude baked into the language. Falling down isn't the end. Recovery isn't just possible, it's expected. The phrase itself is just full of hope, isn't it? It implies falling is just, a blip, a momentary thing. It basically gives you permission to start over and quickly.
Okay, so we've got the resilient mindset covered. But attitude alone doesn't get results, does it?
Yeah.
How do we actually make things happen? And that brings us to effort and patience.
Right. And let's start with patience, because honestly, that's often the hardest part. The go-to phrase here, the one grounded in history, is, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Such a great metaphor. Just instantly conveys scale, doesn't it? Important stuff takes time, lots of time. It's perfect when someone's feeling frustrated with slow progress, maybe learning a language, like you listening, or building something big.
Exactly. It's a very patient idiom. It reassures you that growth isn't always linear. It takes time. It's a gentle pushback against that need for instant results we all feel sometimes.
But patience isn't just waiting around, right? It's working while you wait. And that leads straight to that fundamental truth you hear everywhere. No pain, no gain.
So simple, so direct, and completely uncompromising. Results come from effort, period. Think about any success story language, mastery, fitness, whatever. It starts with discipline, with doing the hard stuff, not just getting lucky.
And the way you apply that effort consistently, that's where practice makes perfect comes in. It really highlights that skill comes from repetition, not just some innate talent.
Yeah, and it's used everywhere, isn't it? For learners, athletes, musicians. It takes the pressure off needing to be brilliant right away. You're not meant to be perfect on day one. You're meant to keep showing up, keep practicing. It shifts the focus from anxiety about getting it wrong to valuing the daily grind, the process itself.
Sometimes that process means really pushing yourself, working late.
Yeah.
Which brings us to that lovely, slightly old-fashioned phrase, burning the midnight oil.
I do like the imagery of that one. You can almost picture someone with an old oil lamp, right, working away while everyone else is asleep.
Yeah.
It paints a picture of real determination, dedication, usually for something important like a big exam or a project deadline.
Is there a difference in feel between saying that and, say, pulling an all-nighter? Does burning the midnight oil sound a bit more noble?
That's a sharp observation. Yes, I think so. Burning the midnight oil feels more sustained, more about dedicated effort over time. Pulling an all-nighter is more modern, often implies cramming due to maybe less than perfect planning. It can even have a slightly negative, stressful vibe.
Yeah.
The oil suggests persistence.
Interesting nuance. Okay, one more in this section. Better late than never.
Ah, yes. This one's about starting, even if you feel behind.
Right. It's encouraging. Maybe you put off learning English for years, but decided to start now. Well, better late than never.
Yeah.
It removes the excuse of it's too late.
Exactly. It's about valuing the decision to start, regardless of the delay. It's never truly too late to begin something worthwhile.
Okay, so we have the mindset. We understand the need for effort and patience. Now let's talk about taking control. Agency, the power of action and courage. And nothing says it's your move, quite like the ball is in your court.
Yeah, straight from sports like tennis or volleyball, it clearly signals that the responsibility for the next step, the next decision, is now with you.
I like how clear it is, but still polite. Like, if I've done my part in a project, I can say, okay, I've sent over the report, the ball's in your court now. It neatly hands over responsibility.
It does, though context matters, doesn't it? If the decision being passed over is really tough or risky, it can feel a little like pressure, even though it's framed as giving you the power to choose.
Good point. Power and pressure often go together. Now, speaking of clarity, let's move to a real fundamental truth about character. Actions speak louder than words.
Oh, this one is huge. Applies everywhere: work, personal life, relationships. It's the ultimate way to judge commitment, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It teaches us to look at what people do, not just what they promise. If someone always says they'll help but never actually shows up, well, that idiom sums it up perfectly. Their actions, or lack thereof, tell the real story.
And sometimes taking action means doing something genuinely scary or unpleasant. That's where we need that really strong phrase, bite the bullet.
Right. And knowing the origin story here adds so much weight. It apparently comes from surgery in the days before proper anesthesia,
Oh, wow.
when soldiers might literally be given a lead bullet to bite down on to cope with the pain.
Jeez. So when we tell someone to bite the bullet, we're really saying, face this difficult thing, expect it to hurt, but do it with courage.
Precisely. It acknowledges the discomfort but demands bravery. Giving that presentation you dread, making a tough financial call. Success often means enduring necessary hardship, not running from it. You have to face it.
And if you combine that courage with sheer determination, you get to the heart of making things happen. Where there's a will, there's a way.
This one almost summarizes this whole section on action, doesn't it? If you are determined enough, you will find a solution. Obstacles become challenges to overcome, not dead ends.
Yeah.
It really champions effort over excuses. Think of someone working 2 jobs but still finding time to study English every single night. That's where there's a will, there's a way in action.
That determination is key. Which leads us perfectly into our last section, practical strategy and wisdom. You've got the mindset, the work ethic, the courage. Now, how do you navigate the world smartly?
Let's start with managing risk. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Classic advice. It's essentially about diversification, right? Whether it's investments, career paths, even relying on just one friend for support. Spread things out. Don't risk everything on one single thing failing.
Exactly. It's fundamental strategic thinking. Balance, caution. It forces you to consider what-if scenarios and build in some resilience against failure. Smart planning.
And moving from practical strategy to social wisdom, a really important one. You can't judge a book by its cover.
Still so relevant, isn't it? It's an instant call for open-mindedness, a reminder that outward appearances can be seriously misleading. That person who seems quiet might be the most insightful one in the room, or the flashy person might lack substance. It pushes us to look deeper.
Yeah, withhold judgment, give people a chance, Crucial in today's world. Then there's the wisdom of hope and patience.
Yeah.
Every dog has its day.
Ah, I like this one. It suggests that everyone gets their moment to shine eventually. It's used to reassure someone who feels overlooked or hasn't succeeded yet.
Right, like, don't worry, your time will come.
Exactly. It's hopeful, patient life wisdom. It implies fairness in the long run.
Okay, now a caution against getting ahead of ourselves. Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Huh. Yes. This is about managing expectations and maybe a bit of humility too. Don't assume success or celebrate before something is actually confirmed or completed.
Like planning how you'll spend the prize money before you've even won the competition.
Precisely that. It teaches patience and prevents disappointment, or worse, looking foolish if things don't pan out. Don't rush, don't overpromise.
Wise words. Now, shifting back to proactive strategy, the opposite of waiting. The early bird catches the worm.
This one's crystal clear, isn't it? Acting quickly, starting early, gives you an advantage. It rewards initiative and preparation.
Yeah, especially in competitive situations. Applying for a job early, getting to a sale first.
Exactly. It combines motivation, get moving, with strategy being early is smart. Success often favors the prompt and the prepared.
Okay, last one. A crucial piece of wisdom for interactions and responsibility. It takes two to tango.
Oh, this is brilliant for describing relationships, teamwork, even arguments. It means responsibility for a situation involving two parties usually lies with both of them.
Right. You can't just blame one person if something went wrong in a partnership, or even if something went right. Both played a part.
Exactly. It forces shared accountability. Whether it's a success or a failure, if two people were involved, both likely contributed. It cuts through the blame game.
So we've journeyed through quite a bit here, from mindset and resilience
Through the importance of effort, patience, and practice.
to the power of taking action, being courageous.
And finally landing on practical wisdom and strategy for navigating it all.
If we tie this all together, what you have now, hopefully, is a kind of shortcut, a way into understanding the emotional and strategic language native speakers use. It's not just about knowing definitions.
No, definitely not. It's more like learning the cultural operating system for how challenges are viewed, how growth is encouraged. These idioms, they're like tiny, compressed life lessons, aren't they? Teaching resilience, commitment, bravery, caution, all packed into a few words.
So what's the final takeaway for you, the listener? Well, maybe next time you're facing a big challenge or a decision, try actively using one of these phrases in your own mind. Instead of just thinking, oh, this is really hard, maybe try framing it as, okay, time to bite the bullet. Or remember, where there's a will, there's a way.
That's a great way to put it. Use the language to shape your perspective.
Exactly, because language isn't just for talking or writing, it's also for believing. Let these powerful phrases actually shape how you act.
Wow, what a journey! From breaking the ice to the balls in your court, you've just unlocked 50 powerful idioms that real native speakers use without even thinking about them. But now, you understand them, and even better, you can start using them today.
And that's the key, right? Idioms aren't just fancy words. They're how English speakers show emotion, humor, and connection. So next time you're watching a movie or chatting with a friend, listen carefully. You'll start catching idioms everywhere. And that's when you'll know your English is leveling up.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that follow button. And if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it with your friends who want to sound more natural in English.
And we'd love to hear from you. Which idiom was your favorite today? Or maybe there's one you hear often but don't fully understand. Drop it in the comments or message us on social media. Your question might even appear in our next episode.
And remember, fluency isn't about knowing every word. It's about feeling confident when you speak. And idioms, they're your secret weapon.
So keep listening, keep practicing, and keep shining.
This is Danielle.
And I'm Sarah.
And you've been listening to English Speak Pulse, where fluency begins with you.